Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, to my audience, I'm here with Jennifer Vaaler. I'm super excited to have her on today because she's going to talk to us a bit about being organized, which is something all of us business owners could use help with, and sharing a little bit of her personal story about how she got into this and why organization has become so important to her. So thank you so much, Jennifer, for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So I kind of just let the cat out of the bag already, but in a few sentences, can you just tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I am Jennifer Vaaler from the Simplified Office, and I'm a time management coach and strategist. So I help solo business owners get organized so they can get ready to scale.
Very good. And I always start off with asking, what is your intention with sharing your story today?
Uh, I just want to inspire everyone that most of us are not naturally organized or good at time management, but it is definitely an important soft skill in every aspect of our life, and that it's you really can learn it. It's really not that difficult, and I help customize everything to their needs, so you don't have to try to figure out all the apps and all that stuff.
Very good. Well, that's very helpful. So tell me a little bit about how you got started in this.
Okay, so back in 2011, I owned and operated 2 coffee drive-throughs, and I just had to figure out how to best utilize that space for inventory because I didn't have any extra space to put anything. And I realized I got to get organized really quick so I can still be efficient for customers and move the line through. But also, when it was slower, I had to work on admin and marketing stuff as well. So I put that structure into place, rearranged stuff. Um, so all I had to do was just stand there and turn around. And then I realized, oh, I have all this free time that I didn't realize I had. And I started helping my neighbors. A lot of them had home businesses. So I just started helping them get organized physically and with the business itself. And at that time, I was also in an abusive relationship. So getting organized and was kind of therapeutic for me. And I also ended up purging like 80% of my stuff. So by the time I finished purging and the lease was getting ready to come up on the drive-throughs, my neighbors encouraged me to pursue this. So getting rid of that physical space or all that physical stuff and not being so overwhelmed with so much stuff, I was able to have that mental and physical space to be able to have more courage to leave finally.
I think that's important. And I think that as we look at like everyone talking, not everyone, there seems to be a trend in downsizing and tiny space living and being organized and getting rid of clutter. And I think that it's very freeing to do that. And a lot of us discover that path different ways. And I love that you were in like
Mm-hmm.
this little coffee drive-through because I've seen them, these tiny little spaces. And yeah, efficiency and organization would be huge in that. And I think about my home office isn't much bigger than a little coffee hut, you know? So
Yeah.
I totally get that. And it can be really overwhelming when it's cluttery. So talk to me a little bit about, you know, what you found that is most helpful. Like what are you doing with people to help them get organized and reduce the clutter? Because I know for a lot of us, we feel like this is something we don't quite have a handle on, or that we're pretty good at it
Mm-hmm.
but want to get better. So
Right.
give me some advice here.
Okay, so I've been in the coffee industry, was in the coffee industry for over a decade before I owned and operated the drive-throughs. So I had gotten really used to having being in cafes and managing cafes and setting cafes up to where you have to have different stations, or if you're by yourself, like in the drive-through, you have to be able to just turn around and not have to move around and search for stuff. It has to be right there when you need it. So I've taken that concept and put it in your home office setting. So that helps. Well, so between that and how you work, I combine that and customize it to how it works best for you. And with time management, I mean, everyone just needs better time management. But I don't believe in a strict schedule. It's like our rebellious side wants to come out, and we're like, no, I'm not doing that. So, on that aspect, reevaluate values, priorities, boundaries, and then make sure they align with your goals. And then we work backwards and make sure that everything you schedule is aligned with your goals instead of scheduling stuff and then maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And then the more you say yes to things that align with that, the more you get done, the more clients you get, the more money you make, and then you can finally scale.
Well, it sounds like to me, if you come from the perspective of values and priorities, then this isn't a one size fits all kind of process. I mean, this is really, I mean, that's pretty unique to a person, what their values are.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. It seems like a lot of the productivity and time management doesn't take that into consideration. That must be the coaching and business, online business world part of me coming in. And I also have to, well, I also, um, like life experiences, they change how you outlook on life. And we forget to reevaluate. Sure, we don't want to dwell in the past, but we got to see how far we've come and what we learn from those experiences. Hey, maybe our values and priorities have changed. And so we need to update that ever so often and make sure it stays aligned in everything we do.
I agree, because I notice sometimes I use a planner and I created my own because I was frustrated trying to shove myself into the boxes of templates of things that were out there. And I found
Mm-hmm.
something that really works for me. And what I also found is that I would write the same thing, like I wouldn't get it done and it would move to the next week and the next week and the next week. And now here it is months later. And to me, that
Mm-hmm.
sounds like I probably have a value misalignment there, that thing is just not getting done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I like what you're saying about that, because I think sometimes we will beat ourselves up over not doing something that's on our list. And really, we don't have a reason to beat ourselves up over it. We just need to look at
But
our
there is a
values.
reason behind it. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a really novel way to approach time management, because, if you're really focusing on the things that are in alignment with your values and priorities, you're going to naturally set boundaries around those and you're going to get them done versus the other stuff that you
Mm-hmm.
won't. Really good. And I also like the idea that you shared about having everything close to you that you need. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have, well, if I'm looking at my desk right now, which I'm so glad the camera isn't showing that, it's a disaster. And when I get first, I notice that when I sit down at my computer and my desk is cluttery, I'm really distracted and I'm not able to get stuff done. And there's times that I'll really just push everything to the floor just so I can have a clear desk, and it helps things move again. And
Right.
I think that there's some energetics involved with that as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Like you and me, we need that. We need it clean. We need it only what we're working on the desk. But there's also people who are really creative. They work in a mess. Well, clearly they're not my people. I mean, power to them for being creative and everything, but I can't handle that clutter. So it's just, yeah.
yeah. And I remember I did hire a organizer to come in once, and she put everything into files, and it made me insane because I would really have anxiety that I was going to forget something. So I've learned to just trust myself and keep on my desk what I know that I'm working on so that I'm not worried about did I forget anything. And it sounds to me like that's the strategy or style that you use when you work with people, is really helping them identify where they are.
Yep.
Yeah. What kind of things have you found in regards to that that have been kind of interesting or surprising to you, like about the energetics of it or how people organize?
Mm, well,
Like
it
what have
seems
you,
like,
go ahead.
well, with the Kondo, I don't even know how to pronounce her name. That whole thing, it kind of doesn't really work in a home office space, whether it's a dedicated office or a multi-use room or a desk in a bedroom or something. It doesn't work for that particular thing. For the rest of the house, sure, but I focus on the home office space because it's got the least amount of emotional clutter in it. So that's, for me, that's an easy place to start for people to get organized, and then you just take those concepts and do it in the rest of your house, kind of thing. So that seems to help people a lot too.
Hmm.
And just the way I approach it on how to get started, like how to schedule it out, make sure you don't get overwhelmed while doing it, and just the way I break it down. People are like, "Oh, I thought I had to do this, this, and this," and it's like, it's okay if you don't. I mean, having a deadline helps to keep you on track, but at the end of the day, you got to do what works for you.
And keeping it
So
simple,
they're
I feel
really
like.
surprised. Yep, keeping it simple. That's why my business is a simplified office.
Hmm. And I think the fact that you focus on home office is important because there are a lot of women who are officing at home, and we tend, well, even if we don't office at home, wherever we office, I think the space that we create is really important to our success. And I think as women, we tend to manage multiple projects, and success isn't just revenue, it's about managing it all.
Exactly. Yeah, and I have a lot to say on multitasking. I don't believe in multitasking. I'm a great single tasker,
Hmm.
but this whole everyone has to multitask. No, no, no. Some people might be good at it, but we're not humanly built to do that because then your brain has to switch and adjust. I forget exactly how long it takes for our brain to transition, but it takes a while. So the way I help people focus on what they do each day is just kind of narrow down the goals. Okay, today you're going to do this step for this project, and time blocking. That way you still make time for everything, but you're not like just switching back and forth constantly.
You mentioned time blocking, and I use that, and I think that's really effective. What role does accountability play in being organized?
Sometimes you just need that little extra kick in the pants to stay on top of it. And what helps you be organized one day as you and your business pivot, develop, grow, maybe that doesn't work anymore, especially when you start outsourcing. So then that needs to be updated and tweaked and looked at again. So like change is inevitable. So don't be afraid to tweak as needed, basically.
Well, and I think good time management allows us to delegate. which allows us to build our team, which allows us to scale up. And for a lot of, well, I'll speak for myself. I have a hard time
Mhm.
delegating because I think that I can do it quick, or that it's not that big of a deal and that I can just take
Mhm.
care of it. And what I find is that I end up putting out fires rather than really working on the important stuff. And when I
Yeah,
delegate, it does allow me to have that time to work on the things that only I can work on.
exactly.
But I also found the challenge in delegating, in addition to like letting go, is being that project manager that is staying on
Mhm.
top of who's handling what, when are they getting it to me, you know. Um, and so I think we forget sometimes that time management is such an important skill to be able to
It really is.
have that team, because we kind of change the role from being the producer to being the project manager. We kind of
Mhm.
give ourselves a promotion from employee to supervisor in our own
Right,
business. And that is a different energy and time management skill set.
right. And then I help adjust the time management for that stuff too.
Hmm. And is there a certain system that you kind of base things on, or do you really just work with the person on what is effective for them?
Well, I'll take concepts, take pieces of concepts, and then just kind of customize it to whatever they need or what works best for them.
Okay. And that's both. Do you feel like um, time management and organization are like one and the same problem, or are they unique?
I think they're both. You can't really have one without the other. Well, I guess you can get organized if it's just like your house kind of thing, but in business, it's definitely more one and the same.
Yeah.
Because managing your time is part of that being organized.
Hmm.
That's why I consider myself a time management coach and strategist because the organizing, the productivity, all of that all ties back to time management somehow.
Right. Well, and I think about, like, even when I meet people, whether it's, digitally or in person, if they don't have good time management skills, it reflects poorly on them to me, because I'm a timely
Hmm.
person. And so I feel like I want to most effectively use my time. And so if someone's late, and I know that late happens, but when they're very
Right.
habitually that way, it discourages me from wanting to do work with them, because I wonder what other areas of their life are they behind on, or, you know,
Hmm.
not efficient in. And I learned in a class once that it's like half the population is just habitually late.
Don't even get me started on that.
And I thought that was a really interesting number, because it makes me wonder about that half that's habitually late, who really create workarounds to be on time, versus those who just allow themselves to continually not be that way. So I remember my ex-husband was one of those habitually lates, and all the clocks in our house were set 10 minutes fast, so that he would think that it was later, and like, get the
Yeah.
rush on. And it mostly worked, but every once in a while I'd have to go change the clock so that his brain would like trip over the time. So I changed it to 12 minutes or set it back to 8, to make it adjust, because he would start to calculate and compensate for that 10 minutes and then start to get late again. So
Uh-oh.
it's funny, the strategies that we need to put in place, but that's everything about business. Everything in business, we have to create strategies around our weaknesses, strategies around how to best grow. And I think that organizing and time management is definitely a big, big piece. What else do you want?
Because if you don't have that foundation, you really can't do anything. Well, you can do everything else, but not near as well as you could if you just go ahead and implement that as early on as possible. Because school teaches us a lot of things. I'm back in college, and so I'm going to school part-time, I work part-time, I manage my clients, I manage my chronic illness. Um, so I got a lot going on, but I want to make sure I create time for all of those things I want to do, but also I need a lot of rest. So everything I do, even being lazy, like, I'm not lazy. I love playing video games. I just limit myself to how long I play, that kind of thing. So you just got to be intentional about everything. So you can do whatever you want for the most part. You just got to really manage how you do it with your time and delegate, basically.
I agree. And I like that you say that. You can do whatever you want if it's intentional, because I do think sometimes we can get sucked into rabbit holes, you know, like I
Mm-hmm.
have some people say, oh, I just can't be on Facebook during business hours because I'll just, there goes that hour. And yeah, when we're intentional, it makes a huge difference. I've told people before, you know, I get more done in a day that some people get done in a week. And I think part of the reason why that, yeah, when we're organized and intentional, we are able to get a lot done. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was working full time when I wrote my first book, and people said, "How did you find time for that?" And um, I say, you know how I found time? I go, I don't have a clue what happened on The Office, but you guys know everything about this show and that show and this show. I don't. And I didn't really feel like I was missing anything because I had a book to show for it. And
Mm-hmm.
especially when people have intense goals, where, you know, especially
Yes.
intense output goals, it is all about time management.
See, that's where people's priorities are different.
Mm-hmm.
I'll binge a TV show. You better believe I'll binge a TV show. But I limit myself to like 3 or 4 episodes, which is still a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I have my cutoff time during the day, and then I'll do that because it's family time at that point. And that
Yep.
just happens to be what we enjoy together.
Yep. I agree. And I think it comes again back to that intentionality. It's like I can binge watch TV all day on Saturday if
Mm-hmm.
that's what I've planned to do because I got all the rest of my work done during the week, or I'm able to look at next week and see where I can fit everything that I need to do in. Um, well, I have a funny story for you too, is I remember when I was first doing time blocking, I was driving around to meet clients and I actually forgot to build in drive time. Like just didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
And was so angry and frustrated with traffic and I was constantly late. And then it just hit me and I don't know why it seems so obvious that like
It really isn't.
you need time to get from point A to point B. You can't just schedule everything back to back because when you
Right.
do that, not only was I frustrated with traffic, but even if I gave myself, let's say, a half an hour and I cut it that close, I would be telling one person, thanks, we're done. I need to get to the next thing, instead of really having the genuine conversation that I wanted to have. So I think that it's, and I had a friend make fun of me once because I'm a list person. I always have to-do lists. They're like, you seriously put shower on your to-do list? Like if it wasn't on your to-do list, would you not shower? And I said, oh, I would still shower. I just need it on my list because mentally it helps me time block it and say, I need an hour. So now when
Yeah.
I look and see, like, for example, today I had a call at 9 and then I had a call at 10 and I knew, oh, that means I need to shower before my first call, as opposed to just like I need to have a place for everything.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I think it's funny because people do make fun of me for my lists and my time blocking, but it helps me be very efficient, and it allows me to relax when it's time to relax because I know
Mhm.
that I got done what I need to do. And I am the kind of person that
And you're not
has,
rushing.
right. And I am the kind of person that has more on my to-do list than like what anyone can do. Every once in a while, I impress myself with getting everything done, but most of the time I do put too much on my to-do list, but I always know that I get my most important things done every day.
Yeah.
And that feels really good and gives me a sense of accomplishment. And I don't feel that everyone
Mm-hmm.
has that. I think sometimes people get into a humdrum of, am I accomplishing anything? Well, being organized and efficient
Mm-hmm.
does help boost your esteem and knowing that, yeah, you are getting stuff done.
And that's where the making sure you schedule your priorities and goals comes in too. Because when you feel accomplished, like you got it, those things done that you intended to get done that day, and now you don't have to feel so guilty about being lazy because they're done.
Yeah.
You
And I'm
probably
wondering,
sleep better too.
yeah. And I'm wondering, like you said, doing that organization helped you leave an unhealthy relationship. Like, having this skill set really empowers you to do more than just be organized.
Oh yeah, it's for every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
It's
So,
also why I've started mentoring students
mm,
on time management, productivity, and goal setting. Because we learn a lot in school, but not those, not those.
yeah, there's not a lot of the skills related to being successful. It's all about learning a curriculum.
Mm-hmm. Taking those tests, that's it.
Yeah. What else do you want to share that we haven't covered? What else do you want to make sure we know? I mean, one of the things that I'm thinking about is that time is money, especially when we're talking
Oh yes,
about business.
yeah, because the when you utilize that time and focus on income generating tasks, you're able to get more clients, give those clients better customer service, so you make more money, and the more money you make frees up more time because you start to outsource. And time is finite, but money you can get as much as you want. So just got to remember that for me, time is as important as water, breathing, a roof over my head. So I'm a stickler for when it comes to time management. People get annoyed by it, but I'm like, okay, well, that's just how it is.
Well, and I don't know the exact quote, but I love that the concept of, every morning we wake up with the same 24 hours as everyone else.
Yep.
We might not wake up with the same home or the same bank account or whatever, but we all have the same resource allotted to us every day. And I think that's really powerful because we do get to choose how we spend that. And it's gone tomorrow.
Exactly.
If you were
Mhm.
given $1,000 a day, how would you spend it? I mean, that's basically what you're being gifted every single day when you wake up. You're given
Mhm.
something that you can't get back.
Yep.
So,
Yep. The same time and dying are our only two true things we ever know in life. Like we know for sure that there is or isn't. So you just gotta make it work with it.
right, right. Well, good. Very good. All right. Well, I like to end all my interviews with a fun question. So let me look at my list and see what I can come up with. Um, just to let listeners know, we are going to have links to contact you in the notes so that if anyone wants to get a hold of you, they can do that. And I think that you gave me a link for some free resources. Did I see
Mhm.
that? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so in there I've got an undated planner, printables. I've got like 2020 goal setting worksheet, got like monthly reflections worksheet, um, and a list of how to start decluttering and organizing your office space.
Awesome. Well, I'll have to get all over that. I love that kind of stuff. But I'm a writer, so I love journaling and lists and all that. So that'll be great. My question for you, since you come from the coffee industry, what is your favorite, what's your favorite coffee drink? How do you take it? Are you one of those people that has like a 10 word coffee order?
Black.
Really?
It has to. Okay, so I didn't work at Starbucks. I didn't work at any chain type stores. I always worked in high end independent coffee shops, except for when I had my coffee drive throughs. For that, I tried to still keep the quality really high, but in a fast, efficient kind of space, which was unheard of in that industry. So it's everyone has their splurges, right? I'm not a clothes or makeup person. I splurge on great coffee.
Nice.
And so I've got the French press, I've got the Connects, I've got all the different coffee brewing tools, I've got a little home espresso machine. So I've kept up my barista techniques. So that is my morning routine, is making my coffee. I don't have the
And
elaborate morning routine like most people. So.
well, if you're drinking really good coffee, black seems to be the best way to enjoy it.
Yeah, so in the mornings, for me, it's hot black coffee. And then in the afternoons or evenings, it's either a iced or a hot plain latte.
Nice. Very nice. Oh, good to know. I might have to go buy a bag of really good coffee now.
If you need recommendations, let me know.
I will. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you as always. I love learning new things, getting new insights, getting the juices flowing about ways to improve my business. And I feel like you gave that to us today. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.